Bom menino em Tech Time com Arte Tholel. Meu nome é Arte Tholel, imita apresentador de programa aqui. Botasinhano informação e nos meta tá chegando cerca bo, aí informação que com a tecnologia, como operar com a tecnologia e mira e seguir turcos com a novo. Samsung dia 10 de agosto a lançar seu produto na novo. Nós também passamos para botar tem diferentes edições que tu vai ter. Pero seguir nos Facebook e YouTube, nós também põe mais de isso aqui, riba nas plataformas. A noite nós também papia de algum coisa novo, porque sabe aqui, informação está queda dentro, tecnologia está queda avançar, nós também para a primeira parte de a noite. Tu rende da papia de internet, de cabo, wire, of Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi. Não tem diferente nome pe. Você que tem som de satélite também. Você com é som de satélite atrás. Ok, mais informação de som de satélite. O é o seguinte aqui. E me também dou mais explicação de som de satélite. Satellite internet.
You're looking at 60 satellites hurtling into the sky. And over the next few decades, Elon Musk is hoping to send 42,000 of these satellites to space, 15 times the number of operational satellites in orbit today. It's part of Starlink, the expansive constellation from Musk and SpaceX that hopes to bring the world low-latency, high-speed internet, promising no more buffering and nearly instantaneous internet in every corner of the world. But experts worry it may come at a hefty cost for space exploration. Nearly half of the world's population does not have access to the internet, because most internet options require an extensive track of costly underground cables, leaving many rural locations offline. And while satellite internet can reach those areas,
traditional satellite internet is provided by a bus-sized spacecraft that is launched 22,236 miles into space in orbit around Earth.
That distance means the satellite can reach places that cables can't. But since that one satellite is meant to service a lot of people, its data capability is limited, which then limits connection speeds. And that signal has to travel a long way, creating a lot of lag. This is where Elon Musk and SpaceX come in.
Starlink is a globe-encircling network of internet beaming satellites that is trying to get you online no matter where you are in the world.
And there's a rather persuading element for SpaceX as well.
Elon Musk has said he's just trying to grab a small percentage of $1 trillion a year telecommunications industry around the world. If SpaceX can pull this off, the company could net about $30 to $50 billion a year.
Musk and SpaceX President Gwynne Shotwell say that much money could single-handedly fund the development of Starlink, Starship, and SpaceX's Mars launch infrastructure. As of early October, SpaceX has launched more than 700 satellites into orbit, with a plan to release a total of 12,000 over the next 5 years, half of them by the end of 2024. And Musk wants to add another 30,000 to that, coming to a total of 42,000 satellites circling Earth. All of these satellites will also be much closer, anywhere from 200 to 400 miles above the planet in low Earth orbit.
This reduces the connection delay that is found with traditional internet satellite.
Once in orbit, these Starlink satellites will be constantly on the move, which is why so many are necessary.
The problem is you have to have many satellites orbiting to make up for the fact that you can't stay in one spot above the Earth, because you need several satellites overhead at any one time to cover many users.
Every satellite will connect with several others via laser beams, creating something like the network's backbone. And to actually bring this internet into your home, you'll need to get a pizza-sized antenna. This phased array antenna can aim its beam at whatever satellite is overhead, which will maintain an internet signal in your home. But this scheme isn't without problems. Starlink satellites are bright. They reflect the sunlight and shine it back towards Earth, so they end up looking like bright, moving stars. As cool as it may look, that comes with problems.
Starlink satellites are most visible in the night sky right before dawn and right after dusk, which is the exact time that astronomers are hunting for near-Earth objects or asteroids, objects that could hit Earth and possibly harm us.
And as more satellites go up, so does the likelihood that they'll interfere with astronomers' views.
If Starlink continues to be a problem for these type of sky surveys, we may not have as much notice as we want to detect a near-Earth object and thwart it and prevent it from hitting Earth.
Beyond detecting deadly asteroids, the wall of satellites could also obstruct the search for new planets or even black holes.
SpaceX realized it had to do something, and it did. It created what's called a darksat, which is a satellite that has all of its shiny parts coated in a very black, dark material.
It also tried adding visors to shield those shiny parts from the ground. But unless the satellites are cloaked like a spaceship in Star Trek, technology that does not exist, none of this will fully solve the problem. And even if it did, there is a much bigger issue at hand.
There's a concern about space debris because when you have so many satellites in the closest, tightest, densest orbits around Earth, there's a higher chance that those satellites could collide with each other or with other satellites.
Those crashes would create clouds of debris that can orbit the Earth for years, decades, or even centuries.
And that debris can then disable or cause other satellites to crash into each other, creating even more debris, and this problem spirals out of control in an effect called the Kessler syndrome. And if we reach that, then essentially space is too unsafe to access.
To be clear, the risk of a runaway Kessler syndrome is very low.
But the potential impacts of that are so high that scientists are working very hard to control such an event from ever happening.
SpaceX has said its satellites can automatically move out of the way to avoid collisions. But dozens of SpaceX satellites are already disabled and can't move at all, posing a potential threat. And those concerned with SpaceX's plans are lobbying the FCC to rein in the company and more strictly regulate low Earth orbit. And that could make it more expensive and harder to deploy the planned 42,000 satellites. But it doesn't stop at Starlink. Amazon's Kuiper project, OneWeb, China's Hongjian, and other projects are looking to challenge SpaceX by launching their own global networks of hundreds or thousands of satellites. If they all got their way with little to no regulation, we could end up with 100,000 satellites encasing our planet within the next 10 years, dramatically increasing the risk of blocking off space for everyone.
Hoy en día turco está online. No está assim, banking online, no está order online, no está comprar todo tipo de auto, produto, turcos online. Pero você com tempo área de segurança, cyber security. Você sei? O que é cyber security? Para que tu não je iwak com veilig bomesta riba internet para que informação não botar compartilhar. Vamos ao seguinte como tu botar sim mais informação tocante de cybersecurity, tá? Boa segurança online.
Meet Anne. She often shops from www.shoppingcart.com. She has her information like email ID, address, and credit card details saved on the website to enable a faster and hassle-free shopping experience. The required information is stored in a server. One day, Anne received an email which stated her eligibility for a special discount voucher from shoppingcart.com. In order to receive the coupon code, she was asked to fill in her shoppingcart.com account credentials. This didn't seem fishy to her at the time, as she thought it was just an account verification step. Little did she realize the danger she would be facing. She was knocked off her feet when a substantial amount of money was wiped off her account. How do you think this happened? Well, yes, the email she received was fake. Anne's shoppingcart.com account witnessed unauthorized access from a third party. This type of attack is known as a cyber attack, and the person who carries it out is called a hacker. Could Anne have prevented this attack? Indeed, she could have, with the help of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity involves techniques that help in securing various digital components, networks, data, and computer systems from unauthorized digital access. There are multiple ways to implement cybersecurity, depending on the kind of network you are connected to and the type of cyber attacks you are prone to. So, let's take a look at the various cyber attacks that Anne could have been exposed to. One of the most common types of cyber attacks is a malware attack like Trojan, adware, and spyware, to name a few. Had Anne downloaded any suspicious attachments online, her system could have gotten corrupted by certain malicious viruses embedded within the attachments. Next is a phishing attack, the type of cyber attack which Anne experienced. Here, the hacker usually sends fraudulent emails, which appear to be coming from a legitimate source. This is done to install malware or to steal sensitive data like credit card information and login credentials. Another type of attack is the man-in-the-middle attack. Here, the hacker gains access to the information path between Anne's device and the website's server. The hacker's computer takes over Anne's IP address. By doing so, the communication line between Anne and the website is secretly intercepted. This commonly happens with unsecured Wi-Fi networks and also through malware. Password attack is one of the easiest ways to hack a system. Here, Anne's password could have been cracked by using either common passwords or trying all possible alphabetical combinations. To prevent future cyber attacks, Anne sought to implement a few cybersecurity practices. First, she installed a firewall. As the name suggests, it is a virtual wall between Anne's computer and the internet. Firewalls filter the incoming and outgoing traffic from your device to safeguard your network, and they can either be software applications or hardware reinforcements. Secondly, Anne implemented honeypots. Just like how flowers attract bees, dummy computer systems, called honeypots, are used to attract attackers. These systems are made to look vulnerable in order to deceive attackers, and this, in turn, defends the real system. In addition to these, she also decided to use unique alphanumeric passwords, antivirus software, and started avoiding mails from unknown senders. That was Anne's story. Cyber attacks are not just confined to individuals, but also to public and private organizations. The cyber attacks carried out in such places are more deadly, and they result in colossal losses. Motives of such attacks are many, starting from tampering with crucial data to monetary gains. Let's have a look at a few of the cyber attacks that companies are subjected.
Mira aqui com a cybersecurity. Você aqui kita, boke samas, sigi QR code aqui de scan e botar mais informação. Caminhos to sigi explicar o que kita. Coisa warpa bo no tá den a situação aqui. Pessoal, é tão difícil. Sim, é vídeo aqui e tá preparado para todo cenário.
GNS Tours com diferentes tours para 2022. Nós vamos começar com Alaska Tour. De 9 para 22 de setembro de 2022, GNS Tours tem uma excursão para Alaska e logo visitar a atração única na Seattle. Na Seattle sobe o cruzeiro Carnival Spirit rumbo para Alaska. Viaje através de algum de paisajes mais espetacular no mundo. Preço começa por de 5.749 florins per persona. Mardi Gras Cruise. Em ter anos, GNS Tours te oferece a oportunidade para uma vacação riba Mardi Gras. Kota é o primeiro barco cruzeiro de primeira classe e também é um dos mais grandes da flota de companhia de Carnival Cruise. Preço está for de 3.499 florins per persona. Medellín, aqui GNS Tours lo visita Medellín. Vários viagens e nossa deseja para Abo também está presente conosco. O cliente tem a oportunidade para visitar parte de Medellín e combinar essa aqui com chequeio médico, junto com guia. Preço está for de 2.299 florins per persona. Niagara Falls, também GNS Tours tem para 2.699 florins. Toma contato conosco na 513-4146 para mais informação.
Crescer uma companhia sem fazer uso de muito online é quase impossível. Assim, nós ainda meio busca bem para focus e budget em last página. Se é branding, website ou criar propaganda no da apresentar uma companhia, nós temos essa aqui. Tanto temos da focus em quando nós enviamos produto e serviço, nós precisamos de atrair cliente novo para o online. Então, claro, para crescer uma companhia de 2022, toma contato conosco.
For di anni 1930, Boolchands está brindando o melhor serviço. Produto de qualidade com amor e carinho. Nos sacam duro para trazer e spar, para assim chegar no qual você deseja. TPC nos está introduzindo o serviço de garantia B-Care, para assim dar uma oportunidade para segurar boa inversão. Fasi uso de boa inversão com tour tranquilidade.
Boolchands in the house! Nós temos Boolchands a noite também. E nós cerca nós com unboxing product. Nós também unbox produto também de Boolchands a noite. E siga nós para mirar que nós também unbox a noite. Senheisser. Você conhece o nome? Senheisser, bawa que bom. Vai ter informação de bota claro para você comprar o produto aqui na Boolchands. É que vai Boolchands e bisa que na mira o produto aqui na Dutch Caribbean TV ou na Tech Time com arte Tholel. Você anda 100 florin de desconto ribe o produto aqui. 100 florin de desconto. Então, preparado, vai mirar aqui com é algo sumamente bom. Vooral que a gente não conhece a marca Senheisser. É uma marca perfeita, muito bom. E maneira me explicar dentro do vídeo que você está a mirar agora. Senheisser, nanta earpiece de Bluetooth. Vamos a unbox essa aqui de Boolchands para nós mirar como está atrás e como está sentindo na orelha. Vamos aqui. Wow, isso não conhece Senheisser, sabe de que nós estamos piando de aqui. Também você está vendo com os manuals, temos charging cables, nós temos, vamos por isso aqui, está em box, caminho para guardar o earpiece, ele vai chegar aqui, e nós vamos sacar o earpiece na mesa fora de espaço e botar mirar. Monitor essa eta. Agora que nós temos nosso telefone instalado, nós vamos testar com esta vai trazer essa aqui. Oh wow, esta bisa cabo. Esta bisa pairing, connected, pairing. Wow, nanto dois também está pairing, sincronizando e bota mira ele também. Wow, ok. Ante música também. Esta gewoon, wow, esta gewoon de um estúdio botaco para ver se está escutando a música aqui. Algo sumamente great e não está tendo nada que está só de rondimi. Esta, wow, não, vale a pena. Eu vou primeiro também, esta vai seguindo a música. Eu também vou primeiro, dois dias, eu vou contestar a chamada. Nem não, obrigado. Essa aqui está é Bluetooth de Senheisser. Voor het tourpaís, por order, Senheisser Bluetooth earpiece. Semana passada, nós estávamos a over de WhatsApp. Nós não acaba. Está roupa informação que riba WhatsApp. A noite nós vamos ter de duas partes de tips e tricks riba WhatsApp. Vamos seguir isso aqui. Danke na nos sponsor ng Boolchands, GNS Tours e The Media Boost. E seguro Cura Livestream Network e Dutch Caribbean TV para nós estar cerca de em casa, riba qualquer plataforma que você deseja de mirar-nos. Danke para a noite e nós está conta com outra semana. Já mais, e tarde de a noite. A Dutch Caribbean TV.